Hello, welcome to Once Driven Forever Smitten, world's #1 Cadillac BLS channel, the world's only Cadillac BLS channel, but it's not even in this video. This video is a whole sequence of clips taken over a couple of weeks. Went out to bigger show, mucked about with the Saab, the Omega, the C18XE engine, maybe the Diplomat as well, some other stuff. So it kind of just jumps between them all. It's too difficult to go and group them all together, and it takes too much time waiting for things to completely come to a conclusion. So enjoy loads of random Vauxhall project stuff. I have too many cars. I think Andy's mum used to have one of them. They were like going rusty when they were brand new though, so it's hard to... This must be a Lancia Owners Club.
Sits really low.
Ah yeah, Lancia Motor Club. That'll be worth an absolute fortune. My dad had one of these back in the day. It got stolen in Edinburgh, down in Leith, and ended up in Cornwall where he had to go and get it back. 1600 Escort gear class. It's a nice colour. 3 litre Granada, it's a Sweeney car. Hire this van. There we go. £1986 road tax, £100. My cube. Yeah, it's mint, isn't it? Bedford CF. Yeah, we're coming round to the wrong side here. You get out, you just step over the fence. Carnford. Your edge. Take around and look at the back of that. Yeah, it's just an XR3 rather than the injected one of a 4-speed box in it. Lots of mint Escorts. See, I just don't get good car colours that much anymore. Mexico. Very nice. Right, I've got the Saab jacked up, and hear me out, there's like oil and crap on the pulleys and in the belts, because this is just an oily engine, and I'm wondering if that's making the belt noisy. So I was thinking I'm going to jet wash all this. There's bits of crud in there that might be making the belt noisy, so I'm going to go and blast it all out, clean it all off, belts off it, and we'll see what happens. If I start this now, I will be nice and quiet because the belt isn't on it. Right, so everything's been pressure washed down here. Still oil on it, but everything has been cleaned up and the belt is back on. All these pulleys are spotless now. Let's just see if it's still making a noise. Oh. Oh. Fixed it. Dirty pulleys. Build up of grease and oil on the belt. Fantastic. That's quietened it right down now. I've also tightened up one of the manifold studs. Oh, thank goodness for that. Of course, fixed the ABS fault as well. Give it a wash now. Happy days. I am sitting in Le Cave. I have been flocking bits of trim for it. I've done these A-pillars here, and I bought the little manual flocking device along with the flock off of eBay, which is alright, but it's not going to be good enough to do a roof lining. So what I'm going to do is order the electrostatic flocking machine, and I'm going to pull this roof lining out. I've already got one in the house, but I don't think it'll be as nice underneath as this one. So I shall see, because I need to get the proper flocking machine, because this is going to be too big to do with the little puffing device machine. I mean, they look alright. That one looks better than that one. See, I'm going to have to empty my tools out the Omega and transfer them into the Corsa. Where's that Volvo sat there in the middle of the road? Strange place to park. Oh, I've left all my tools lying out. Right, I'm going to have to tidy these up. There we go. Can't knock a $5 Corsa for practicality. Oh, as usual, freezing cold wind. There we go. The unit, Diplomat's ticking over all right. In another video I'm looking at the loom, because I've converted it to SEH spec non-catalyst with the management lights on. I think it's a coolant temp sensor, but I'll go into that in more detail in another video. It's running fine anyway. That's Kenzo's black Astra. I've got a video to do on that. And his red Astra, C18XE+X20XEV. But I am at the moment. Yeah, I think that's starting to get a bit stroppy. I think the coolant temp sensor's away on it. That is the engine and auto gearbox out of that, and it's been in the road taking up a load of space there, so I'm stripping it all down. I'll sell the engine as a bare block, because people like to use these in stock cars, these 1600 16 valves, but they don't use any of the this tortuous intake or injection system. I'll probably put it in a carburetor or something. So I'm just stripping all this down to scrap the little box and stuff. There's one bolt on the manifold, which looks like you can only just get into with a spanner, if at all. Well, you can get into it. Jeez, oh. Is that part of the manifold? Yes, it is. Right, time to fight. That wee bolt in the corner there was a little bit awkward. Only just get a little half-size ratchet spanner in there. Right, I'll be keeping the alternator for stock, because it'll fit the Corsa, you never know. Yeah, I'll be keeping all the components for stock, the coil pack in that as well. Power steering pump. So it's got an aircon compressor on it. I think it's the same as the big block ones. I suppose I could keep it to one side. Right, on with the next bit. There we go. So things soon pile up. So the stuff that just came off of that. Somebody wants a 1600 16 valve. I think it's an C18XE+XEV. So I think they're useful for stock cars and things where they put like carburetors and stuff on them, so yeah, it's there anyway. Now that 1600's out the way, there's a bit more space, a bit of a tidy up, not a proper one, but to start, that is a C18XE that I bought last year. These are pretty rare, came in the Astra 1.8 GSI, the Cesaro and the Diamond. And on total Vauxhall, anytime one of these was on a rolling road, it'd make 140-145 horsepower, known as a 1.8 red top. And it occurred to me, I'm going to take the head off and do the valves and everything in it, get it all freshened up, but it occurred to me, why don't I make it a 2 litre? Because then that would make it a C20XE, but a one-off C20XE. Can't help to give it 200 more cubic inches. So this is the engine out like cave that would spinning over but couldn't get to run. Now if I take the head off that, put everything else off that on there, that makes it a 2 litre. We know this engine's a lot lower mileage than that one. So that would make it, yeah, it would make it a C20XE, but not like one of these ones, which is kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes. So I've got the head gasket set for that, but I'll need to go and get a clutch. And it's got a sheared off bolt in the manifold. Might get a full brancher for it, but they're very similar, these two. These have got more emissions equipment on them, that's more basic, no EGR on it. But for whatever reason, these are a lot more powerful than their book value. So we'll have a go at that. And I need to order exhaust bits for this to go and realign my exhaust, take it away for the drive shaft. Yeah, various things to order, but that'll do now for tonight anyway. Hello Bob, joining me in the Omega because it's too windy outside. You just love a sleep in a car, don't you? You have to. Don't put your claws in the seat, aye. Nice view. So I've got the Omega back to the house, and it's misfiring since I've done the cam cover gaskets, and I've taken the plugs out. I was testing them there, I pulled them out, and these plugs are filthy. That's overfueling, they're fouled. And also we've got warped plastic cam covers because that's still got oil on it. But look at that, they're not happy. So what I think is coolant temp sensor. It's never had a coolant temp sensor on it, but of course can I get to it? So this is going to come off again. Wonderful. I'll have to give these a good clean up. They aren't even old plugs, but they are yeah, they're not nice. So overfueling creating the misfire, hopefully, rather than it being the coil pack, which is only 8 months old. I was thinking coolant temp sensor, but it's telling me 15 degrees, which would be correct. That's the ambient temperature right now. Right, the Tech 2 is firing the spark plugs. That's 2 and 5. I don't know if you can see it, but they've got a good spark on them. I suspect that it's got a weak spark on a couple of them, which would be what number's that? 6, and whatever the other one that goes with it. Right, spark plug test 3 and 6. When I last looked, this looked weaker than the rest. Yeah, where's the spark? I can hear it ticking, but that is pathetic. You can clearly see the spark on 2 and 5. It's gone like mad. But on the other two there, it's pathetic. So it is most likely to be the coil pack, unless the leads are dodgy. It's not easy to try and just swap the leads over to experiment though. I could nick a lead off that, robbing more bits off it again. Suppose I could try it. Well, that's interesting. That's got a much better spark off it now that I've replaced that one lead. This number 6 lead. Okay, yeah, you couldn't even see that before, but now that's like how a spark should be. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go down the garage and I'm going to go and find a lead to replace this one. There'll be something lying about. I'm not putting this back together with the GSI's MagnaCore lead on it, but that is sparking much better now. And interestingly, that's sparking much better as well. If I put that one back on, you'll barely be able to see any sort of spark at all. Yeah, I can't see it, it just can't be the coil pack. It's hardly done, what, a couple of 1,000 miles? That's it. We'll give that a go. I'll just pack this stuff away now. Oh, and I'll have to give these plugs a good clean up as well, because obviously with being down across one circuit of cylinders, it's must be firing too much fuel in. It is now Saturday lunchtime. I'm just loading up the Saab. The belt's still making a wee bit of noise off it. I wonder if I need to get another belt for it again. But I've decided to change the format of this video. I'm just going to go and roll out everything that I've done in the order it comes off the camera for the week, because it's too complicated to divide it all up, put it into separate bits, and constantly waiting on parts as things develop. So we'll see. I'm going down the unit on my engine stand to put the C18XE+X20XEV on a stand, and what else am I going to do? I'll grab a plug lead for the Omega, because it's going to misfire, as you will just have seen. There we go, all loaded up. The Saab's not as big carrying capacity as the Omega, but it is still very practical. I need to sort out and get some boot struts for it. As you can see, that is not helpful. I'm just going to check this belt. I'm going to spray a tiny bit of brake cleaner on it and see if it makes it quiet, which it probably will. Still seems a little noisy. Listen, now it's warmed up. It's dead quiet. The mystery of the noisy drive belt. That is strange. The Saab is now whisper quiet, which is really good. I don't know why it was making a noise when I started it back up there. Strange. Right, I've got my engine stand built. It's a Rockwood, same brand as the pressure washer. C18XE+X20XEV. Bottom end is coming off this to go with the head and management of that to make a C20XEV red top, but a different kind of C20XE. So I'm going to have to strip the gearbox and the head and everything off this, and strip the head off this. I've got some storage boxes there to go and put everything into, keep it all together. I know that this was cranking over nicely. This has got 107,000 miles on it, and it was very well maintained. It was owned by a retired policeman who serviced it very well. I don't think it's had a hard life at all. So we shall, what will I begin with? I suppose I'll begin with stripping this down. I'll take the gearbox and everything off it. Right, just removed the alternator and starter motor. That's a Bosch alternator. I believe this is good. And the starter motor's definitely good because it was cranking like mad. So I'm going to keep everything together from the 2 litre and the 1.8. Next up, we've got this whole section here. The power steering pump broke off this. I think it hit the ground with some force. I've got a bag for the bolts. I've got the front engine mount there. And of course this has got a different, kind of more simple mount on it, because this one was running air conditioning, which I am not entirely sure how that works out. We'll find out in due course anyway. Let's get this whipped off next, and then we've got the power steering pump to take off, which is a couple of bolts going sideways there. One gearbox removed. I've got that gear oil on my shoe. Oh well. Right, I'm going to drop it down now so I can get the heat shield off the manifold. Every single one of those manifold studs came out, no problem at all. Store your cars in France if you're going to store them. Makes a hell of a difference. Nothing snaps or breaks or anything. Where have we got next? There's the water manifold on the side, which is going to be different, so we can flip that off. T12 Tox, or E12 Tox I think. And now, just removing the head bolts. And that's them all popped. Oh yeah, a couple more bits to take off. Get some cat litter down here as well for the oil. What have we got here? The stay that holds the back plate for the timing belt. There we go. Our engine is on the stand. The bottom end is anyway. Little bit of surface rust on the cylinder walls there, to get that all cleaned out. And we've got 1800 here. Those are the bits that came off the XEV. What I'm going to do next is strip this all down and get it all cleaned up. Really nice, put some big end shells in it. So I'll maybe take the pistons right out it, due to that corrosion in the cylinder walls. Yeah, we're going to have to sort that out. Can't be having that. But that's okay. We can sort that. Just spraying some Bulldog BDX in about these cylinders here. You can see that it's literally taking the rust right off that. That's it. That's lifting it right off. That's only just a little bit of surface rust. I don't think that will have scored the bores or anything. Move them all so they're at the lowest height. Right, that'll do for this point down here. I've got a coolant temp sensor to put on this. I'm going to get the sump off this. I need to strip this down as well, get the head off it, get it away and get it skinned, do the valve stem oil seals in it. We'll reseat the valves, clean them all up. I've got my petrol pressure washer now as well, so I could give this engine a good blast off, should I desire it, because it is very oily. Put a crank sensor back in it. I know I've got at least a couple of crank sensors knocking about that fit these, because I bought about 3 of them for that. Anyway, that'll do for right now. Let's get back up the road. Got my plug lead for the Omega, so next thing I will do, plug that. Got the stock cars, and it is busy. See you next Brian.
Johnny Caldwell, we're taking the win in his first year in the stock rods, taking the European Championship. It's number 84, Robbie Armack.
Right, so it's Sunday. Please excuse the wind, freezing cold as usual. Back to the Omega. That's the old plug lead. There's one I sourced from the unit, so I'll test it out with the Tech 2. Hello Bob. To make sure that it's going to be alright, because I've robbed one of the leads off the GSI. It's just so horrible to get into the coil pack. Why would you put it there? I could have put it over here somewhere, so it was easily accessible. Right, spark plug lead installed. Confirm. And we will go and test this again to see if it's getting a healthy spark, which it absolutely was not with the old lead. I don't know if you can see that, but that's got a good spark off it. So is that one. Yeah, that's definitely doing what it should. Right, okay. We'll go and get the plugs cleaned up and fire this back together. These plugs are filthy. Right. Give them a good clean off. There we go, that's them cleaned up. AC Delco, made in France, so you know they're old. They only went in at Christmas, so they've hardly done any mileage. Gave them a little heat up with a gas bottle as well. These things are fantastic. That was about 60 quid off eBay. Super handy. We'll go and fire these back in now. Like I say, despite appearances, these have hardly done any mileage. Put these two new single electrode plugs back into stock. These are GM ones made in Germany. I've got some other ones down the unit which are made in Russia. And you also get them made in China. But obviously these are going to be getting harder to find now, because they won't be supplying them to the UK anymore, I would think. Even though you'll still be able to get GM spark plugs. So AC Delco is their own brand anyway, so it's the same thing. Right, get them screwed. There's Bob. Alright, a universal joint with the medium extension and then the long extension. You get that back spark plug in there. Here's me mucking about trying to get my hands down the back of this, and I forgot this scuttle panel comes out, and if you lift up the windscreen seal, there's these little plastic rivets in here which you turn that way, and then they will lift out just like little spades. So you can lift this section out to get much better access. I forgot all about that. See, little spade rivet things. And as we can see, that pulls right over to the side, and it gives you not a lot of access, but it gives you access to the back of the engine, which is handy. Let's see what happens. We're all back together. That sounds all right. Excellent. Well, that's good. My replacement plug lead has solved that problem. Can't believe I forgot that comes out, but that makes it much easier to be able to access the coil pack and the coolant temp sensor as well, which is alright because I've tested it in the Tech 2 and it is picking up the signal just fine. If that's not working, you get a temperature of -40, so it overfuels massively, but this seems pretty happy now. Get the tools tidied away, take it for a test drive. Back at the Omega, that is a metal cam cover, not the ideal thing, because it's difficult to put oil in. I'm hoping it's going to work, because this didn't seal for whatever reason with its gasket on it, so actually put a tiny bit of silicone around here just to give it the best help it can, but these are such a superior design. I don't know why they didn't roll them out to all the models. So as you can see, it's now running fine, and I don't see any oil leaks out the back, so that's been a success. I don't know where that air noise is coming from. So there's a pipe off down the back. I don't know. I'll have to finish it at a later date. Weather's horrendous. So, right. I'm leaving this video now. The Omega no longer has an oil leak and it runs in 6 cylinders, having replaced the cam cover gaskets in one cam cover, sort of 1.5 times, and put another plug lead on it. Need to go and put the wiper linkage back in, but I'm not bothered about that now. To get this on the road, I think it might be up for sale. So might this, because I've got too many, and with the budget coming it's going to get more expensive to run. But anyway, yeah. See, it's largely quiet again now. Well, there is still a wee squeak. What is that? Any ideas, anybody? Because I'm stumped. Deal. So, ready to come off this X20XEV bottom end. Handy engine stand. Hi, you no move. Of course it's a dipstick because I'm taking the gasket away at the same time. Shutting! Hey, dipstick removed. This thing's going to need a major clean because it is howling. I said that, they don't look that bad in there. Don't have any movement on our shells, so that's good. I'm going to flick it around and see what's required. Oh, fucking minging. That's one of the caps off with the big ends. I have to check the size of these shells, but there's no movement in any of these, which is good, and there's no scoring on anything either, so the engine was well maintained. The minging, this is just because it's been sitting for 15 years. I can pop this shell out. I'll go and measure it and order some new ones. There's my shells there. I think they'll just be standard size ones. I did order a set at one point for that 18SEH I made for the White Cavalier GL, but I don't know where they would be. A new set of big end bolts for it. We won't need ARPs or anything, we'll just get standard ones. New set of shells, and this is the sump, which has got some clag in the bottom of it, but there's no like metal or anything, that's just sludge from it sitting for so long, so we can clean that out, obviously. We'll get the block all blasted off, and we'll use this head and the engine management. I'll have to take this head off, and I'll need to get one of the bolts taken out it. I'll get the head skimmed as well, and I'm going to put valve stem oil seals in it. I'll have to go and clean all the valves up in that, so get this stripped off next. Right, that's our X20XEV blocker stripped down. Managed to get the crank pulley off the end of it. Up a bit of a fight, had to heat it up, but we'll get this cleaned up, blasted, painted, Make sure the pistons are nice and clean in it and everything. And then now a matter of stripping down the C18XE. You need to get the head off this because it's going to go away and get skimmed. We'll put all the stuff to one side on this, because we're going to use all the management and everything. No EGR or anything on this. We use the camshafts and all that. Full cylinder head to go into this to make our C20XEV, I guess. And that's the cam cover off the C18XE. It's about what you'd expect. A little bit of water been sitting in there. There's nothing to worry about, because we're taking the head off anyway. Right, to get to the one set of the bolts, we've got to take a camshaft out. Right, that's the head off the C18XE, so that's going to go away and get skimmed, and I'm going to put new valve stem oil seals in it, clean all the valves up. You see there the difference in the space between the cylinders on the 1800 compared to the 2 litre. Same type of pistons in it, and interestingly they run the same kind of camshafts as well. Identical part numbers between the X20XEV and the C18XE. So I don't know quite how these all made 140, 145 horsepower, which is more than they did. Can't all be in the management. The head's kind of look the same really. I'm not seeing any bigger ports or anything on it compared to the other one, but you know, we'll give it a try anyway. We'll make the now. Make the now. See that there? No, it's the same. It's the same. Right, I'm calling time on this video. I've done loads of different things. Where are we? Omega's got its oil leak and its misfire fixed. Saab is better, although it's got a random squeaky belt which I don't quite understand. We've got the X20XEV stripped down, the C18XE stripped down. So it's a matter of getting all that cleaned up and ready, that getting sent away and getting skimmed and everything. I've got the exhaust to adjust the route of on this and sort out the sump because it's leaking, and I need to go and plug in all the cruise control wiring, sort out the vacuum pipes behind the dash, which I can do because this is nearly finished. This belongs to Kenzo. C20XE's on that. It's an Astra Sport that did have aircon, so I can match my vacuum pipes. And this thing has an engine management light on due to voltage low airflow meter. I've tried 2 different looms, 6 different airflow meters, so I think it might be the coolant temp sensor. I'm going to give that a go. But yeah, I'm going to sign off now. Excuse me, what are you doing on top of the GSI? You're going to do instead? Just chill out.